All right, to kick things off, we're going to spray mold release into the mold. Yeah, that's what it's for. All right, so we're going to use a couple different pigment brands to get the combination of the little guys we're going to cast in there. Stone Coat Countertops are the metallics, and the mica, which are the purple and blue, come from Black Diamond Pigments. Now, the mold is actually just shelving board. Melamine, I think is how you say it. I just got it at Home Depot. I got the biggest piece they had. I chopped it up, and there you go. Now, that step there, we're going to add RTV sealant or pure silicone around the joints, spray some mold release on there, insert your wood, and guess what? You're ready for resin. So the first coat is going to be a clear buffer because we want to create like a foggy, hazy, creepy, Halloweenish effect. So when we add the clear, that kind of inhibits the color from dumping all the way to the bottom. And we're going to mix, I believe that one's called Purple Haze from Black Diamond. And we're just going to kind of pour it in that center part because we want it to kind of radiate out of that center. Like that's where the ghosts and the bats flew out of. That was the idea behind it. We're going to add a lot more different colors. And as you can see, I already set the ghost and bats in. Didn't hit the record button. So yeah, I feel sorry about that. But actually, I don't. I hate forgetting to push the button. Like you set it all up and then you walk away. But you add your colors in and you kind of do like a gentle blend. I'm just using a deck screw. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. And swirl them about. Just kind of get like a decent, don't blend too much, just a little bit. That's all you need. And we're going to add our clear on top of that. So this is where the depth, this is where the texture, all the cool stuff starts to take place. So when you pour the clear on, it pushes everything down and it kind of like smashes it into things. You get like these really cool effects. We're going to touch it with a flame to just kind of get some of the bubbles out, but for all intents and purposes, that's it. You're done. You're cast and it's ready to go. Remove your mold and it pops off super easy. I think the silicone's actually what's holding it on there, but pop it off, get a putty knife that says resin, but you spelled it wrong, and yeah. Look at that. It's almost ready to go. And you start sanding. I started out with 100 grit, worked my way up to 1,000. And here's one thing. It gums up fast. So if you get one of those little rubber erasers from Rockler, just rub that on there. Alternatively, you could use a synthetic cork. A little tip there. I don't know if you knew that or not. But check this out. See how it's kind of peeling off? Yeah, it's a little bit not ready to be sanded. So we sat about an hour, came back, continued to sand, and sand, and sand. Now we're hand sanding. Now I took it up to, I believe that was 800 grit, and just kind of polished it to a point so I could see what was going on. Wiped on a little bit of water just to see, what's going on below the surface now that we got all the heavy hitters out. Cut it up with a taper jig on the table saw, created the little coffin shape, and began to sand again. Now, this is where we went up to, the highest grits I could get at this little hardware store called R.C. Walters. And we put our first coat of Armor Seal on. Look at that. Just look at it. Would you look at that? Yeah, it's amazing how that Armor Seal just made the wood pop. Now, I sanded again with the highest grit, which maybe that might have been 1,500. Wiped it off with a cloth and just continued to sand, repeated that process. And then a final coat with some wax, but that's it. Pretty easy, right?